Welcome back, everybody. In this episode, BJ and I sit down with the legendary Marc Effron. We were able to spend a little bit over an hour with Marc. We are truly appreciative of his time. He has such a great story and actually lives what you see him put out on either his social media or on his website, which is rare. Not only does he give his time, his resources, but he truly cares about giving back and building up the next generation of young men and helping those in need and creating a strong bond with him and his family, and is a strong, true man of faith. But a little bit about Marc. Marc Effron has built his legacy on transforming lives by prioritizing self-care, unlocking potential, and creating opportunities for growth. As the co-founder of Legacy Healing Center, Marc has combined his business acumen with his personal journey of recovery to develop educational assets, growth, resources, and training programs that inspire transformation. With over 20 years in financial services spanning annuity and mutual fund sales, training, and consulting, Marc has established himself as a seasoned professional and a dynamic leader. Marc's passion for impact extends far beyond Legacy Healing Center. He has founded and nurtured multiple ventures that align with his mission of empowerment and growth. The Marc Effron Foundation channels his love for soccer into a platform that helps young athletes develop the skills and discipline needed to succeed both on and off the field. Through Effron Productions, he brings meaningful stories to life, producing films that captivate, inspire, and leave a lasting impression. I can speak to that. Absolutely true. M3 Capital serves as his investment arm, supporting businesses with bold visions and fostering strategic partnerships that drive real growth. He is a renowned motivational speaker, mentor, philanthropist. Marc remains deeply committed to making a difference in his local community and beyond. Through his diverse ventures, he continues to shape industries, elevate lives, and leave a lasting legacy. I hope you all enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. I have Marc Effron, and I'm just going to touch real quick. One, I appreciate his time. He's a very busy man. He's doing the Lord's work, as we say. But I got to talk real quick. I was on a flight from LA over to Fort Lauderdale, sat next to two ladies, and one of them was like, started talking about what I did. I had my book. We were talking about podcasts and books, and her name is Amy. And she was like, you have to meet my friend's son. I can't remember exactly how she phrased it, Marc. And she's trying to show me who you were and explain, but we're on a plane. Long story short, she was all about what you're doing and what you went through and the help and the cause. And she also just like, you're a family man, you're a man of faith. And I was like, this is all lining up with, I'm a fan. Long story short, I reach out to you and you're like, I think that's my aunt. It basically, like, a friend of your aunt's was promoting you, and that's how we ended up interacting. We were slated for a 15-minute call. I think we talked for 30 minutes. And I can tell you this, Marc, I've followed up on your social media, your website, the stuff that you're doing now. And it's one thing to put that out there, and I love the positive message, but you do it in real life behind closed doors for somebody you have nothing to gain from talking to me. But that 30-minute conversation mobilized me to do a lot of different things. We talked about a 5-year vision plan. I did it. We could talk through that. The changes when I started writing it out. You're a man of faith. We said a prayer before we started this, which, again, these are all things that I am a fan of pushing out. It's a positive thing. And I love individuals who not just talk about it, but live it behind closed doors. And I'm excited to get into it with you. So I really appreciate your time, sir.
Man, I appreciate it. What an honor to be here with the two of you guys, and the kind words that you said up front here. Yeah, I mean, how random, right? You're on a plane.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes people want to talk on a plane. Sometimes you're like, please don't talk to me. You know.
Yeah.
But you were open to engaging in conversation with somebody, and little did you know that God was moving behind. And that is a beautiful place that I've landed at 48, turning 49 in just a couple months. It's like, I know with absolute certainty, conviction in my heart that God is real, that God loves me, that God created me for his purpose. And all that I need to do is lean in and connect in certain moments, and something that's intended for me, for his use, is going to come out. And I feel like that's how we got here today.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
Yeah. And we talked about it a little bit briefly with the meeting that we had, where I'm 41, about to be 42, and I've spent so long just beating myself down to the ground. I'm like, why is this so hard? Everything is so hard. I'm working, I'm grinding, I'm putting all this time. It just felt so hard. But it's like, once you kind of step back and you start moving in the path that God has for you, it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh, all these doors just start opening. Doesn't mean you don't have to work towards it. I still had to do it way outside my comfort zone. Here I am meeting with someone who's I don't know, who's trying to gauge what's going on, and it turned into a beautiful moment. So to your point, 100% accurate, and I appreciate. Shout out to Amy, she made it happen.
Yeah.
But also thank you, sir, because you're living it. And again, I was in the Secret Service for a long time, dealing with politicians and all this stuff, and you see people one way on camera, and you see them behind closed doors. You're like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. I hated it. So I love seeing that. It's just a personal.
Well, this is what's great. This is what's great. I don't mean to digress.
Okay.
Here, so I get a random, connection with you. And in 2025, you can find out just about anything on anyone.
Yeah.
You can.
Look in the right places, or because you're Secret Service trained, my guy.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, Amy? I'm like, who's Amy? I'm like, no, this guy's.
Yeah, no, fair.
I mean, he's full and fair disclosure. He's telling me what his profession was or is, or maybe still is.
Yeah.
What's this all about?
Yeah, maybe his name's a software program, but it's not.
Yeah,
She's a real person.
She's a coder. She's a coder. No, it's exciting, man. I'm honored, and so I think it's fair to say anything is game right now, and talk about just about anything that you want to talk about.
Perfect.
Where do you want to begin?
We always start off with just a little bit about yourself, because I'm interested in your upbringing, kind of your story, what went through, what kind of led you to where you are now. I know you've pushed this out a lot, so I'm not asking you to kind of rehash all of it, but I do find several aspects of your story incredible, and the fact that you were able to overcome them, commendable, sir. So, and you talk about how it's still a constant journey, but you are dedicated to your family, your faith, family. Both of them share number one, but then you've still been able to create successful, positive businesses, but outreaches, and actually help people. So I want to touch on all that, but I really want to start from the beginning. Grew up around Boston, Mass, which is hilarious, crazy to me, because I don't hear the accent. Maybe it comes out, but I don't hear it. But I found that out
when I'm with my boys from the Bean. Yeah. So I'm 48. December is my birthday. And it's interesting. I was driving in this morning talking to my assistant, Nicole, and she said, you're going to be 49 soon. She's like, next year is the big 50. And I got emotional. With it. I said, honestly, Nicole, I think I'm going to tear up a little bit. She said, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I got to call one of my buddies, Jim. And he's another boxing guy. He's from Dorchester. And I got 4 men in my life. And he's one of the 4 core guys outside my pastor, my performance coach, and my sponsor through a fellowship that saved my life. And we'll talk about that.
Yep.
But I got emotional because I was like, man, 50. And then I was like, I'm a young 50. I'm active. I'm healthy. I'm married. I'm faithful. And I'll talk about that here in a second as well.
Sir.
But it was a moment this morning where I was just like, man, like, I don't want to digress.
Go ahead.
But I think it ties into your question of like, let's go back to the beginning real quick. So the other night I was putting my kids, I have 2 boys. My wife blessed me with the most amazing children. God bless me with the most amazing wife. I've been with Marciel for 18 years. We met August 27, 2007. I wasn't sober yet at that time. I'd already been in and out of treatment, and it failed me, and we'll talk about that as well today.
Yes.
But Marciel blessed me with these 2 boys, and Maven is going to be 14 and Max is 11. And I'm putting them to bed the other night. And, we pray, we're in the Word, we give thanks. Very different than how I was raised. So I give Max a kiss goodnight. And I got this little thing that I've been doing since Maven was, 2, 3 years old, where I would take his blanket and I would throw it up in the air and it would just slowly drop on him. And it makes him light up. Sometimes it would go over his head when he was little.
Yeah.
Now he's 14. His foot is bigger than mine. He's shredded because he plays MLS net soccer. So he's just always running. He's doing 7 miles a day through training. It's just crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So here I am with the blanket. I was up at 3:30 that morning. I'm tired. It's 10:46, 10:47 at night. Take the blanket, I throw it up, and it drops. I'm still doing this with him.
Yeah.
Because the time's going. It's going.
That's right.
And he says, that wasn't a good one. I was like, yo, bro, that's messed up.
Yeah.
He's like, can you do it again? So I did it again. He's like, what's going on tonight? This is not the same. So I stood there, guys. I want to give BJ and Ty, I want to give you guys like the visual. I'm holding the blanket. One kid is tucked in. The other one's laying there next to him on the bed. because they still sometimes sleep together, which is kind of cool and cute at the same time. And I'm staring at Maeve. I said, Maeve, you cold? He's like, yeah, could you please do the blanket? I'm like, kind of sucks to be cold, doesn't it? Like if you just accepted it the first time, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I'm sharing this story. He looks at me and he said, what would little Mark say to big Mark about how he's treating his son right now? And I'm like, what in the world? Now, it was something so simple and something so small.
Yeah.
He was breaking my stones back, right? Because having fun breaking a stones, like messing it up on purpose.
Yeah.
But that one thought, I don't know that as men, we reflect like at that level often enough or share it from a place of vulnerability. And I said to him, I said, what would little me say to big me? I said, bro, you're killing it.
Yeah.
Like you're killing it. You don't drink alcohol. You don't do drugs. You don't go to seedy places. You're an honorable and committed husband. You're a devoted and motivated father. And you're giving your kids a better life than your dad gave you. Good job, Big Mark. Like it was a thought. And I went downstairs and I sat on the couch with my wife and we were talking about our day because we sit down once the kids are asleep. And we get into it. We talk about her part of the day, my day, what we could have done better, how we communicated. A lot of times, you know, as you stated in the beginning, like I'm very busy, but I'm very intentional in every moment of every minute of every day, unless I'm sleeping. And even that, my schedule is very intentional, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, when I think about the little me, right? And we all got that version of ourselves as men and women. I grew up outside of Boston in Swampscott, Mass, and love that town. That I got some good friends from Swampscott that made it out, have done well. I got other friends that stayed back home, but that town was very special to me then. It is now. My dad and my mom raised me there for the first couple of years together, and then they separated. And there was a lot of there was second marriages for both, and there was a lot of bebop in between homes. So as a young kid, I didn't really have a solid foundation at home. Nothing like Maven and Max have today. There was no faith. You know, I was raised Jewish, but like on high holidays. And I was kind of a delinquent, to be honest. I was an athlete. I was a really good athlete.
BG and I can understand that. We were speaking to us, bro.
You know, I mean, BJ, would you play, BJ? You played football?
I played football and I played baseball in high school growing up.
Yeah, I mean, with that neck and shoulders, bro, that makes sense.
Buddy. Strongest man I've ever met.
Maths. You know, in New England, it's seasonal. So I played football, you know, I played basketball and I played baseball. And I was a really good baseball player, and I was a really solid basketball player. And I always, in basketball, I played up 3 years. I was an incredible shooting guard. I played for a bunch of years, and then we started moving around. And I was in a home with my mom, Gail. Love her to pieces. She's still with us. So is my dad, Steve. They're obviously not together, but they did the best that they could. I can summarize my childhood like this. They did the best that they could with the information that they had and how their parents raised them. I kind of got the shit end of the stick. I did. I did. And I don't even blame them for it at this point. I did for a lot of years. But the version of me that came out of those homes, you know, I would skip school. You know, I'm talking like 4th, 5th grade. I'm thinking about Max, my youngest, who just went into 6th grade, getting on his bike, riding down to the park, hanging out, stealing from the local 5 and dime store that they don't have anymore, but that's what we had back home. You know, and then going underneath the train tracks and waiting till school got out because my mom was a bookkeeper at Salem State College and my dad was on the road traveling in the financial industry. Completely separate new family. And I'm thinking like, that's what I used to do. I used to literally get on my bike, ride to school, kids would go in and I would dip. Crazy to think about. So I go through this time frame in elementary school and then junior high and my mom got remarried, moved me to New Hampshire. And that's where like drinking really started to get
Mm.
homemade Kahlua. I wanted to fit in and, yeah, homemade
It's
Kahlua.
wild.
I
Yeah, I
was like,
know.
oh, okay.
Yeah, buddy.
I'll never forget that. And so here I am, like I go from Massachusetts to New Hampshire, and I find myself in a town called Grafton, New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in the woods. There's like no street lights on the streets. It's dark. There's
Yeah.
deer, there's bears, and I'm on 9 acres in the woods on a hill, but I'm like a Swampscott kid. Like I'm a Boston guy. Like, what am I doing up in New
Yeah.
Hampshire? That's when I ran away for the first time. I was a freshman in high school.
Mhm.
I had just been put through a wall by my stepfather at the time, physically.
Hmm.
I put a knife to his neck because he put his hands on my mom.
Mm.
And when he tossed me, I'm 9th grade, man. Like I grabbed my book bag,
I'm out.
some underwear in, and I was out. Like
Yeah.
clean clothes, and I was out. And I wound up living in a trailer with this girl, Velvet, and her sister, Stacy.
Lovely name.
And
Mhm.
I think her dad may have been an alkie.
Maybe.
Black Velvet. I think so.
Maybe.
Now looking back.
Yeah, maybe.
But it is like the reason why I'm bringing this up is like, and we prayed before this talk. This is not about me. And I know that if I'm going vertical before I go horizontal in any moment, what's meant to come out is going to come out.
Yeah.
But this
Mhm.
memory burned in my brain of I'm living in Velvet let me move in because I had no other place to go.
Yep.
The was kind of cool about it. They had a couple of German Shepherds, and I'm looking around. I'm like, how did I end up in a double wide trailer in the woods in New Hampshire with my girlfriend and her mom
Yeah.
and her sister and German Shepherd? It was just bizarre to me. And, I kind of bebopped around. I ended up in foster care because obviously my mom got involved and then the court system. And I went to places and the first foster care home, and they were all about Jesus and the Lord, and I didn't know about that yet. I didn't
Yeah.
have that relationship with God, and it was a turnoff, and I ran away from there, and the cops would show up at school, and people were looking at me, and I always felt uncomfortable in my skin. And
Yeah.
man, listen, like my mom and my dad are great people. They were great people, but what they provided to me was not a solid foundation in a home. So long story short, that lasted, man. I bounced around for a couple more years through foster, and then I wound up calling up my dad. And I said, man, it was the end of my sophomore year. And I said, I need to live with you. I need to, I was still playing baseball, still playing basketball. Thank God for my coaches. Thank God for my teammates. Thank God for disciplines. And, athletes, we compete. And I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys get it.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, it's always been in me.
Yeah.
And it still is today in business and in life. And in home's slightly different because if I win, that means my wife loses. And
Yeah.
Well,
That's
then-
it.
then
Yeah. It's a
everybody
different
wins.
dynamic. Yeah.
yeah, totally different dynamic.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for those coaches, I don't know where I would have been. So, at this point, I had already experimented with drugs, alcohol. I'm the end of my sophomore year. I called my dad and I said, hey, man, I need you. Like, I need to come to Florida. I moved down to Parkland, Florida with my dad. He was already, like I said, remarried with my 2 sisters, Sasha and Jenna. And they already had their nice little bundled home. And
Mhm.
my dad's second wife had different value system than my mom and faith. And so it was interesting because that represented a family to me.
Yeah.
What I had was broken.
Yeah.
And what I saw and what I heard and what was said to me was put in me, right? And then that became learned behavior as a kid.
Yeah.
Then I come down to Florida and I see this family that is my blood, but I'm like, I don't fit into this family. There's too much love here. I don't even know what to do with this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean I got to sit down and do homework? Like homework? So I'll speed it up because here's what happens. I end up going to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and nodding the head. So, that was
Yeah.
a school situation a few years back, and I swore I would never come back to Parkland. That was a horrific time for me. And I wound up dropping out of high school my junior year, the end of my junior year. I lasted 1 year. My stepmother used to set the alarm on the house, wouldn't let me out. My dad was always traveling. He was running a big insurance company, AIG at the time. He had done really well for himself. My brother was already off working in the financial industry. There was nobody around. And again, I found myself feeling mentally, bodily, and spiritually different than anyone in my family.
Yeah.
Drugs and alcohol were the only solution at that time. So the wheels came off. I dropped out of high school and I started running game, after hours clubs, hanging out with seedy guys, allegedly printing counterfeit money in my closet with a couple other guys in a photocopy machine, allegedly.
Yeah.
Supposedly allegedly.
Supposedly allegedly. I got you.
But looking back, it was like Monopoly money. It was so bad. And it was, but like that was my best thinking. Like the white Jewish kid from Swampscott, Mass is smoking crack, printing paper. What is that even all about? How does that even happen?
Yeah.
How does that happen? So one day my dad shows up and I got into like that super alcohol, that crack cocaine, and couldn't get it up my nose any longer. I smoke it.
Yep.
And he's like, man, what happened to you? You got to kill yourself. You got to get out of here. So he gave me $2,000. He gave my car a tune up and sent me back to Boston. I was 18, turning 19 at this point. And
it's so rugged, man.
It was wild.
That time frame, yeah.
It was a wild time. And so what ends up happening, man, is I kind of did a geographical change.
Yeah.
My brother took me in as a roommate. I get a job working in a restaurant. I start interviewing, borrowing my brother's suit. Right, it was 2 sizes too big, but nice suit. Went on interviews in Boston. I went to Putnam and MFS and John Hancock and Prudential, and I was getting all these interviews because my dad and my uncles and my brother were big in finance, like big.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, you're an Effron, come on in. That's kind of what it was.
All right. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
And then they sit down and they say, so tell me about yourself. Tell me about your education. Well, okay. All right. No problem. Oh, you didn't graduate. Okay. No problem. You have an equivalent. Okay. No problem. You didn't go to college. No. Okay. No problem. Yeah. We're going to put you in this conference room and we want you to write a letter to one of our clients that lost some money. And we'll give you 20 minutes. And they would come back and all that I had was dear valued client. I didn't have the artificial education. I didn't have education. And, I spent a couple years working in a mailroom until I got a shot. Ted Charles, CEO of Investors Capital, gave me an opportunity, and I quickly latched onto this man and emulated his every move, how he dressed, what he drank, how he communicated. I got securities licensed, and I had a 20-year financial career. Half of that I was sober, half of it I wasn't. And I did really well. I made my first $1 million at 24 years old. I was a vice president of an insurance company at 24. Wheels came off at 26 because I made so much money and I was so undisciplined and emotionally mental. And I found myself in drug and alcohol treatment in 2006 for the very first time.
All right. We'll come back to 2006. I want to jump back a little bit. So Mark, you and I have a lot of similarities. Swap it though. My dad was always in the rural areas. My mom was always in the cities. I did the same thing from the age of 2, bounced back and forth. There's people on the show have heard this a million times. What I'm interested with you is, so I'm trying to wrap my head around, you're going through all and again, the ages for me are important because I did a lot of crazy stuff in high school. I was at Sarasota, Florida, and I would dip out for 2 weeks. And sometimes my mom would be like, where are you? I'm like, oh, I'm in Miami. She's like, you should tell me these things. Like, I feel like I should know that, I was just doing wild stuff, but you start kind of surrounding yourself in this world and you feel like an outsider. So I also understand because they both remarried a few times actually. So I would be there in my blood. That's my mom or my dad, but I'm not, this isn't my family. It's not my family. I'm the outsider coming in and during those pivotal moments and how you navigated that. So I can understand that. So the point I'm getting to is, so you transition, you drop out of school, you get your GED, then you go up to Boston and you talk about geographical change, which friends of mine who have gone through addiction actually strongly believe in geographical change. I don't know if you feel the same way. So that's one aspect. And then the other one is, what motivated you to say, I cannot live this way and want to do more and go through that? Two-part question, the geographical and then what?
So the geographical part, so I'm in agreement. Geographical change is important. You got to get away from the scene of the,
Okay.
right? So like if I'm a drug addict and I'm active here and friends and situations and environments, I do want to change that environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right? Move a muscle, change a thought.
Oh, okay. I love it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They kind of go hand in hand. The challenge is if you move a muscle, change a thought, you do the geographical change, but nothing changes. The behaviors don't change.
Okay.
The wiring of the prefrontal cortex, alpha, beta, theta, delta. That's the I know it's kind of cool. Not bad for a GED.
I know. I love it.
Well, because I love it. I'm passionate about it. I want to understand what makes us tick and how we can instantly create change.
Yes.
So when I learned the prefrontal cortex that's the windshield, essentially how we make the decisions. But most people are looking through the lens of the past. And then they take that past into the present.
Yeah.
Then they make a decision which affects their future. But if we're making decisions based on our past, right? Making the decision based on our past in the present moment, our future is going to look just as messy. So the present has to change. So geographical change is powerful.
Yeah.
But you have to take action and make a wholesale change. What ended up happening was I did take action. It wasn't a full surrender. I didn't understand about that yet, but I did get into a new environment. I got around my brother. He was working in finance. I got around healthy people. I got around people that wanted me on their team. I felt like I was back on a team again. I had a coach, Ted Charles, Tim Murphy. These two guys were my mentors. So I wanted to emulate, sought out. Once I was able to be someone who was interested in me, they were interested in me. I felt like, ooh, instant family, part of something I lacked and yearned for. So it filled a void. And then I was like, all right, what do you guys want me to do? Oh, you want me to make 300 phone calls today? Oh, you don't want me to sit down on a chair? You want me to stand all day and bang phones?
Yeah.
No problem. I was in. Hey, Tim, how do I make $1 million? Here's how you do it. Great. And it was a path. Like I could X's and O's, BJ, blocking and tackling, bro.
Yep. I can see it.
You can see it, right?
Let me know what I'm doing, and then we'll move forward from there. Yep.
You call the play, and I'll run it. So that's pretty much how it got started for me. And when I got a taste of it, I'll never forget that first interview. When I was 24, I'd outgrown these guys, essentially, in the sense of not from a monetary standpoint, but like I'd outgrew anything more that they could offer in their current business model for me. And I had a job interview, and I was driving from Boston to Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut. I had a meeting with Mike Brochart, who was the president of the company at the time, Phoenix Wealth Management. And I called my brother. I'm like, bro, like I'm a high school dropout. I've only been at this a couple of years. This is a vice president role. Like, what do I tell him? He's like, simple. Tell him that your legs are strong, your shoulders are wide, and you're ready to run hard for them. That's all that they want to hear. I swear, bro, I dropped that on Mike. He ate it up, just like my brother told me.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I got a U-Haul at my house, like 2 weeks later, picking up my mattress and my television, because that's all I owned at that age.
Yeah, for sure.
No frame, by the way. Just a box spring and a mattress.
I can picture it.
That's how men live. That's all you need, man. That's all you need.
And I ended up in Atlanta, Georgia, man. And that's where I met my now business partner, ironically enough.
Dude. So again, just to tie in a little bit, I went into finance. That was my whole world. I was going to be, millionaire under 30, all this stuff. I financial securities and services and all that. And I did it. And I was making more money than I had ever made in my life. And I was, in my mind, important. And then the financial crisis happened and I didn't feel important anymore. And then I realized I played football most of my life. I was like, I missed the team. So that's kind of what led me into law enforcement. And thank God I did, because it turned into my profession. But I was blessed because BJ and I were in the same training class and we've been friends ever since. So I was able to your point, I have very few men that I reach out to and speak to. Sure. And BJ has been a steadfast one. Even when he was giving more than I felt like I was stealing almost, because I wasn't giving anything back. And so to hear you talk about these things and how that team and that mentorship, it's so important. And it sounds like luckily you had good ones, right? Because it could have gone horribly wrong, right?
God knew then
Yeah.
the men that I needed and required in my life to set me on a path. He also
Yeah.
knew that my free will was going to run me into the ground the way that it did.
Yeah.
But he knew that if he planted the seed, which he did, hang on one second. I just want to grab this book because you just reminded me of something.
Yeah.
This Maxwell book.
Yep.
You know, I'm multitasking in the head.
Do it. I'm sure you do it all the time, brother. You got stuff going on.
God knew that Ted and Tim were there in the beginning. That was part of my foundation. And that 20 plus years later, I'd still be talking about these men.
Yeah.
And how they played a role in my life. They were the perfect example. Tim helped me get my first credit card. Not my dad, not my brother, not a friend. It was Tim Murphy. You know what I mean? So when I think about these men and the roles that they played in a young man's life, quite honestly, like I get it now. As a business owner of multiple companies, I'll take a guy with work ethic and a sports background over a Harvard grad,
Any day.
Unless it's like legal counsel or medical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Team members. And we don't have employees here. We have we have team, like a team. So yeah, man, like being around that philosophy of you are your environment or show me your 5 friends.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is as grown men, we get older and, life shows up. And then maybe we don't want to talk about certain things in our life. And I'm just the opposite now. Like I feel like through vulnerability, we get to release shame, guilt, remorse, misunderstanding, improve our communication, but first communicating with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that awareness is something that I'm passionate about talking about because there's a lot of mental health that's going on these days, and parents our age are locked in. I know I'm jumping, but parents are locked in, brother, on their cell phones and social media and what they think they should be aiming for. And what ends up happening is the young kids, they're getting missed because mom and dad are double clicking or scrolling or too busy trying to create content. So being back to intentionality.
Yeah.
Tim and Ted were very intentional in the beginning for me, and they created a nice little pocket for me to grow in. And that turned into an awesome career. But that guy, Mike, who gave me that big boy job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It only took a year and a half and he fired my ass. Like I had made so much.
I like the honesty.
He showed up. I had made so much money that year. It was wild. Like where rates were at, and we had a product that was yielding big yields. And I would just walk in. I'd say, hey BJ, you got money sitting on the sideline for your clients? Yes, I do. Like, what are you gonna do with it? Oh, there's nothing out there. Listen, we got this product. And it will pay your client, 4.5%. And back then in 2000, it was a big number. It's going to pay you X. And you're like, wait a minute, I'm going to get paid how much? And guys would just drop tickets. They would just drop tickets. And I didn't know what to do with all this money. It was coming in. So it made sense. I went to Gucci and to the cocaine dealer. Those were my two.
I mean, it's kind of in the industry.
It was. And Mike showed up. I had been up for 3 days. And Mike showed up to travel with me. Here's the irony. I just want to close this topic because this is interesting. This was another moment of God putting, first it was Tim and Ted, then it was Mike. I like to connect dots. Mike shows up, takes one look at me. I'd been up for 3 days, hadn't shaved, looked awful. My eyes were probably like a cartoon. He's like, you're done.
Like right there on the spot? You're just
right there on the spot. Turns, starts walking the other way. And then, what do? You don't put your head down. You say, I'm done.
You're done.
You're done. Don't you know who I am? Do you know who my father is?
Yeah.
I was that kid.
Woo.
And he's like, actually, I do know your dad. I know Steve really well. And I'm like, damn it. Oh, okay.
Very well.
You never told me that on the interview. He didn't tell me he knew my dad. And that was in Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta. And he got on that plane and he flew away. A couple of years later, I got sober and I went through the steps and I wound up making an amends to Mike. And every Thanksgiving for the last 17 and a half years, well, this will be the 17th year, I've been sober 17 and a half. I call Mike. He lives here in Florida.
Mhm.
What the first time I called to make the amends,
Mhm.
thank him. I was maybe 4 or 5 years sober at that time.
Mhm.
He's like, "Mark, I knew the whole time." I said, "You knew what?" And he said, "I knew you had a problem. I was giving you the opportunity, the space to work through it." He's like,
Mhm.
"I've been sober for," well, yeah, I just said his first and last name. Anyways, it's all good. He'll
Okay.
be okay with it. He'd be okay with it. He'd be
All
okay
right.
with it.
All
He's
right.
out. But Mikey doesn't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at that time that he was sober. So God gave me a big boy job to show
Mhm.
me a path that I was going to be on. He put a man in my life that fired me, that was also sober, only so I could go back a bunch of years later, not die, and actually make an amends and be able
Mhm.
to thank him for the greatest gift, which was giving me one of my biggest losses at the time, at that age.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
hard.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I love Thanksgiving for that reason. Him and another guy in my life, Greg Roventini, who, he was another mentor of mine. So I like to collect mentors and grow and create fellowship.
Mhm.
That's
All
part of geographical change, man. That's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
tied together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree. BJ, I'm sorry. I'm dominating. Go, brother, go.
No, no, no. You spoke about something, Mark. I wanted to kind of circle back to something about reflection and taking stock. And this is something that me and Ty talk about a lot, especially offline. I mean, we have our own other podcast where we've actually been going through some things, a little mini series about like rules of being a man, right? And obviously, these are things that we've accumulated over our almost 40 years of life. That kind of things we wish we would have known as younger men. We could go back and talk to our younger selves. But one thing I've learned through going to therapy is that one thing I don't do is I don't lie to myself, right? It's like, and that is always like kind of for me like the first step of taking responsibility, accountability. It's like I don't lie to myself about anything I've done, anything I've seen, how I feel about something. But you talked about reflecting. It's like when was the first time that you can remember actually doing that for the first time, like taking stock in your life for the first time?
In a healthy way?
Healthy way, yes.
Yeah, in a healthy way. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
healthy way. Healthy way.
yeah,
The good way.
yeah.
I went through the steps. When I went
Sure.
through 12 steps, that was the first time. Another man sat me down and said, "Hey, you want a better way of life?" And I said, "Yeah." Yeah, he was happy, smiling, married,
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
Yeah.
something I wanted, didn't think it was attainable. I
Mhm.
didn't have a visual of it growing up. So I was like, this is going to be really hard and nearly impossible for a guy like me to
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
a woman to accept me. And this guy, Harry, sat
Yeah.
me down and took me through the 12 steps. And it was in the fourth step where I started to take that personal inventory, searching and fearless moral inventory, and looked at my behaviors and other people and how I interacted with them and what I needed to take responsibility for. And it was an aha moment in my life. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Because up until that point, I never took responsibility.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
Yeah.
know, my parents never taught me to take the only accountability or responsibility I ever had was to my teammates.
Yeah. Fair
Show up,
enough.
show
Yeah.
up and do my job. That
Yep.
was it.
Hmm.
There was no consequences at home. There was none of that. So, yeah, that was the first time that I can remember. And that was scary. And I'll be honest, I said searching in fearless moral inventory as it's outlined, right? Being honest with self. Back then, I wasn't completely honest. I was honest 99.9%. I didn't share or write down one or two things because I was afraid to be judged for it, and I
Mhm.
didn't wanna verbally share that with another man, but I'll tell you what, I ended up sharing it, and it wasn't a big deal. It was like, you steal a candy bar or some bullshit. It was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but there was like or like I cheated on a girlfriend. I was like, "What's this guy gonna think of me?" But then I learned, like, most drug addicts and alcoholics are liars, cheaters, manipulators, and, that's my people. That's my group
Yeah.
Hmm.
until they have like a spiritual awakening as a result of the steps. And that's essentially what happened, man. Um, Now it's just different. Now I'm
Yeah.
constantly taking an inventory so I can clean it up as quickly as possible. So
Yeah.
I'm not walking heavy. I don't want to
Hmm.
walk heavy. I don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
carry that, you know? Like I told Mike Brochart, my legs are strong and my shoulders are wide. You know, they still are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's like I got a job to do and I got to constantly be looking at my actions And it's kind of like what we tell kids. It's like for every thought or action, there's a reaction, both
Yeah.
positive and negative. What's your choice?
Yeah.
So what does it look like for you? How do you take inventory today?
Well, I go to therapy at least once a week. So, but the big part of it is getting past the judgment part, like you said, right? It's like, what is someone else going to think of it? And I've kind of turned it around through suggesting my therapist, like, what do I think of it, right? Because we spend a lot of time worried about the opinions of others and not necessarily worried about what do I actually think about this. So it's a learned behavior, as most things are, right? It's a learned skill, learned behavior. But I've found, especially in I'd probably say the last year and a half of doing that, it does, as you so eloquently put, it does make me feel I don't walk as heavy when I'm constantly doing that. I'm not worried about it. It's like, hey, I've dealt with this, and I've also learned that sometimes guilt is a self-imposed emotion as well, right? It's like, so we've the anticipation of things or the thought of things are actually worse than the reality of it. Once you get to the reality, we can actually do something about it now. Once we get down to the reality of the situation, now we can do something. We can take action. We can make something a change where we need to make it, or tweak something, or do something about that. But it is a learned skill, and I'm actually it's funny that you said that. And it sparked that sort of in my brain.
Yeah. Listen, it's a great topic. Check this out. You ready? The story that I tell myself is the most important one, because that's the one that I'm going to believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes the story may not be a lie, but it may not be accurate.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
If you really think about it. So if the story I tell myself is the most important one, I got to be really mindful of what I'm telling myself. And therapy is great. There's no doubt about it. I know that for me, it worked. I got to a place, BJ, where I knew that I wanted to fly at a higher altitude. No better or worse than any other human being, right? I kept on hearing this word internally, altitude, altitude, altitude. So I called my pastor and I said, hey, TJ, it's like 3 months and I keep hearing this word through prayer. And he's like, you need to call this guy. So I called this guy, Chris, and Chris is a performance coach. And I apologize if I'm jumping forward on you.
No,
please do.
I had this full-blown interview with Chris, and little did I know he was actually interviewing me to see if he was willing to take me on. But like, I'm talking to this guy and he's telling me that, he coaches this NFL guy and this guy, and he's not dropping the full name, just the first name, but it's clear. And then he tells me he's coaching the governor of Oklahoma, and I'm thinking like, well, hold on a second. There's little old me in Parkland, Florida, who's a husband and a dad and a small business owner.
Yeah.
And then he's got all these other guys. This guy doesn't want me. This man changed my life. He brought me to a higher altitude. And most people are flying. They're either walking on the ground, they want to fly, or they are flying at that 30,000 foot view. I felt like I needed to be at Concorde level. I needed to be above. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I understand.
Felt called where the air is thinner. It's harder to breathe. There's fewer people there, but there's peace. There's joy. It's light.
Yeah.
In order to be there, you got to have people that can get you there. And what Chris has taught me is this is wild on this topic, is because you said, you talked about being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, hey, following that up, like the story that we tell ourselves. So how do we really know? And we all love the Lord. So check this out.
Yes.
If the devil is a liar and he's the father of all lies, who's the mother? Who do you guys think the mother is?
Ourselves? I've never been. Oh, okay. I'm guessing. I never even heard that posed.
Bro, that's that Secret Service shit right there.
We'll take it.
Thank you. Wow, man.
I was like, I've never heard that. I've never thought about that. But yeah.
Never heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we buy the lie, because if God owns our heart, he created it for his purpose. God is in us. The only thing that the enemy can attack is our mind. So if he plants that seed and we buy the lie, we're the only ones that can give birth to the lie, like a mom.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so good. I've never heard it posed that way.
I
But it makes
thought about that
complete
like
sense.
that.
Yeah. For sure.
So
I tell my kids all the time, like, you talk worse about yourself than anyone else ever could. And I see it. I mean, my son's getting better, but my daughter is still kind of in it. So high school, anyway, I don't want to go on a bunny trail.
no, go ahead.
But I've been saying that over and over to them. I'm like, because she's like, she just has this self-doubt, and no matter what her mom or I say, it's just like it's hard to penetrate sometimes. And so I've been taking a different path. I'm like, if you don't believe in you, who else possibly can? Because I can do everything in my power for you, but if you don't believe it, it doesn't mean anything. So slowly but surely, we've been progressing. But again, this is new stuff for me. I mean, I've been walking in that for many years, and I'm 42, and I'm just now starting to kind of get some breathing room to think through these things.
How old is she?
17.
17. So I was talking about Maven and Max earlier, and they're both elite players. Maven is going to be 14. He plays MLS next down here in South Florida, which is, it's in the next level up. It's like, it's a great platform, and he's a great teammate, and he's got great IQ, Jay, and he's been exposed to a lot of greatness. It's competition is stiff, and he's got to work hard.
Yeah.
Loves the Lord. Max, equally talented, different style player. He's got a little different swag to him. Maven's kind of more quiet, reserved. Don't want to be in the limelight. Don't want to talk about it. Don't post me. Don't take a picture. Max is like got the hair and the fade. He's got
Let it rip, baby.
He's got that squint. He's got swag, and Maven has his own. You know what I mean? In case you're watching this, like, I love them both, like, very, very dearly. But Max comes to me the other day. He's like, "Dad, listen, you're always talking, to these players, and I've been blessed to work with a lot of different players and owners now at this stage of my life." And he's like, what you do with them, whether I play college or I go pro, he's like, I know he's 11. I know I need to work on my mind. Will you do what you do with them with me?
Oof. How did it hit? Did you feel like you were already doing that, or did that hit you in a way? Because I've had a similar conversation with my son. So
I'll tell you what it is. I could get a phone call. I won't say any names. I could get a phone call from a friend or a player or a client, and the boys will be in the car. Won't know who's on the phone, but they'll hear me.
Yeah.
Hear me walking them through whatever mind struggle they're walking through, because it's a mental. All sports are mental. Business is mental. It's all mental. The whole thing is prefrontal cortex. It's all how we're walking.
100%.
So the effort's the effort. It's the mind that we have to control. And so they'll hear me, and they'll be like, "Oh, that was good," but they won't apply it because I'm dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, "Bro, you know who that was, and they're calling your dad for information. Why don't you guys take the information?"
You get it for free.
Yeah, but it's like, dad, you know what I mean? I'm also the one you yelling, "Brush your teeth, let's go to bed." You got 5 minutes to get out of the shower. Like, so like when it's but this was a pivotal moment. And I said, Maxie, it's like, man, nothing would make me happier. This would be like the greatest use of my time and bring me so much joy. His face lit up. He says, "What's my first assignment?"
Ooh, I love it. I love it. At 11, I love it.
11. I'm like, this kid's a killer.
Let's go.
I'm like, I wasn't built like that. I was like, where am I going tomorrow to skip school? That's what I was. His first assignment, though, man, it was what you and I did on the first call, that you said you went and you wrote. I said, "Max, I want you to think about who you are at 16.
Yeah.
And I want you to envision yourself, how tall you got, what your body looks like, who your friends are, what team you're playing for. And then I want you to start writing down one word, like single words that describe your character." And he came up with resilient, disciplined, focused, love, light. And the list was a 22-item list. The last one, it said, "Show up and kick ass." And I'm like, oh my goodness.
I mean, I kind of like that one, but
he didn't do the full, he didn't write it. He didn't write out the full thing. He didn't write it all out. It was like like with the pound sign, ass. And, he's like, "Dad, I'm 11. I'm like, "Say it, go ahead, say it, I got it." Point is that he wrote all these things out, he did the work, and then he read it to me. And I said, "Do you understand why we're doing this?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" He's like, "You want me to have vision. You want me to have a path of who I want to be." I said, "Exactly." I said, "This speeds up the process. This allows us to go out into the future, grab that guy, bring him into the present, start thinking like him, acting like him, talking like him.
Yeah.
That is how today, for me personally, it's a standard and discipline. I learned it from Chris. I pass it along because that thing has helped me to fly at a higher altitude. It's put me in proximity of people that are bigger,
Mhm.
further down the spiritual journey, financial journey, impact journey. Because now I'm like, all right, well, who's Mark 5 years out?
Yeah.
What's he looking at? What's he reading? How's he spending his time? What type of music is Mark in 5 years listening to?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, the flesh is weak, man. I want
Mhm.
to please myself today with whatever I feel like I want to do or get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the version of the man that I want to become. So, it is kind of like what you do in private that you practice, then
Mhm.
you go
Mhm.
out in the real world and apply it. So I love vision work. And so from a dad perspective, back to your point, it's like maybe the story that she's telling herself, maybe you can step in and say, hey, I did this work. I wrote, and share with her what you wrote,
Yeah.
and be like, hey, listen, I was thinking about where I want to be in 5 years. And I'll tell you what, this is what I wrote, and this is how I've applied it, and this is how it's changed the story that I'm telling myself. And it makes it relatable because I'll tell you what, like as parents, when we show, this is just my experience, and I'm not a doctor on it, but from experience, sometimes that's better. Because, like I said, I didn't graduate high school and college, but I do employ doctors, my nurses, lawyers.
Yeah.
They now work with and for me.
No, for
Mhm.
sure.
We don't need the doctorate. We just need the real life experience and sharing with my kids. Hey, listen, don't just do as I say, but do as I do. And let me show you what I've done. I've done the work and this is the
Yeah.
shit
Mhm.
that I've gotten. And we teach them how to make the changes themselves. I think that's what God really wants for us is to arm our children with new standards, new disciplines for themselves.
Yeah.
Because, we could be gone today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. For
You
sure.
know?
And I want to be respectful of your time, sir, but let me just recap a couple things because I want to get into you just
Yeah.
touch on it as much as we can. But one, what you're doing, your businesses, but two, how you manage that time and be intentional with your family, your wife, your sons, all different aspects, but also yourself. You take fitness very serious. I see some of the videos. I'm cringing sometimes with the ice bath, and you're up at 4 or 5 in the
Oof.
morning. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
I'm
But I
doing
just
it.
want to. Oh yeah, absolutely. But just touching on a few things, because I mentioned it. So when we had our conversation, 5-year plan, and you were like, pray on it, then do it, be intentional with it. So I did that, and I realized the first draft I did was very me centered, me self involved, and I was like, oh my god, this is not my intention at all. But that's what I wrote. And so
Yeah.
then I paused for a minute. I took a break. I came back, and the one that I came up with after what fits more what I actually was hoping to achieve. But it was interesting to see my first like dump out was just me, all about me. And I was like, that's not what I'm trying to do or create or build. But it did help me, and it helped me shift my mind into what we're doing. And since then, this is what's occurred. We apparel line, we connected with Blue Cancer Connect, a charity that I truly believe in. So it's become more giving and reaching out. A lot of that is I do feel that way, and I've always felt that way. But now I want to do like tangible things that I can say, not just like, hey, I do this podcast, I want to share stories, but like I want to physically give back and talk about and produce something else. To the point that another buddy of mine who's like, dude, you get more excited for promoting other people's stuff. You got to do that for yourself too. And I was like, well, I'm working on it, but I am very excited about this. So this is what we're doing. But I appreciate it, and I applied it.
Yeah.
Great idea, and parental advice. I'm doing that with, I'm going to probably call her right after we get done because that's a great
100%.
idea.
Yeah. Again, based on experience. I mean, here, complete this sentence. You ready? BJ, I'll go with you. I know I'm
Yeah.
putting on the spot on
Do
your
it.
own podcast, but I'm bold.
Do it. Yeah. Let it
Yeah.
rip.
All right, ready? Complete the sentence. Leaders lead
By example.
by example. All right, go ahead, Ty. Leaders lead.
From the front is what I say.
Yeah. Both.
Which I guess is both, but yeah.
And I'll say leaders lead all the time,
Oh,
no matter
Like
what.
that. Like that too.
I like all three of them. I think the three of us are rock stars with it. So leaders lead all the time, and leaders lead no matter what. They lead no matter what. So when you did the work and you were writing it down yourself, leadership begins with self. So it totally makes sense. That's where you landed. And that's, that's where you got started. Like, whoa.
This is what I need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, let me get honest. Oh, this is all about me. Yes,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, actually. So it actually was the right way to go about it, from my experience, in my opinion.
I'll take it.
Take it and
I'll
run with
take it.
Because if I can't lead me, I can't lead my wife, and I can't lead kids, let
Yeah.
alone anyone else, right?
Yep.
And sometimes we forget that. Not that we like intentionally neglect it. Maybe it comes out in a selfish way. Nah, man, like the first person I'm trying to lead is me. I need to get my mind. I said it earlier. If God has my heart, the enemy can attack the mind. Leadership has to begin with pouring knowledge of the word in first.
Mm-hmm.
For me, fitness is a big thing. When I'm taking care of my body, that energy, that's, if God resides in me, then my body is truly a temple.
Mm.
I need to protect it and maintain it. I got to be mindful of what I'm putting it in, my brain, my body. So yeah, man, intentionality with time.
Yeah. Let me just touch on fitness real quick, because
Yeah.
it's always been a part of my life, ebbs and flows like it does for everybody, but I'll use my son as the example. He decided he wanted to be a Marine at 16. And I was like, son, I've seen you carry a gallon of milk, bro. I don't know if that's the way, but he was locked in. Right. And so I was like, if you're going to do this, you need to make a lot of changes physically. And so he started, he did the work. And over the course of a year, I remember him calling me. He goes, Dad, I feel better. I sleep better. I have more energy. My skin has cleared up. I was like, son, I've been trying to, I did not articulate it in those health benefit capacity to him. I said, but this is what he goes, I didn't understand then. He goes, I do now. And so now he's just carried that on, but it meant a lot to him. It helped clear up a lot of the self-doubt. He's more confident, all these things that come with it. So people see people fitness and they're just like, oh, they're just gym buffs or meatheads or whatever. I'm like, mind, body, man, mind, body, spirit, all of it. You got to work them all, right? But a lot of people just, focus on one or the other and leave one out, but so true.
My guy BJ's going, and I know what you were thinking. There are some that are just, right? That's what you're like, well, they are.
But,
and I'm with you. And it's funny, I got to be careful like how I judge, because, I learned the other day.
It's hard.
How I judge, and I do judge 100%.
Everybody does.
Is this guy for me or is he not for me?
Yeah.
Can it serve, again, back to me, can this situation serve me, or can I serve it?
Yeah.
That's a question that I ask. So if I can receive information, be better, then I'm going to do it. If I can serve it, then I do it. If it's not one of the two, I just don't do it anymore. That's a time management thing for me.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you were talking, I thought about this line that I heard. Motion creates emotion. So your son got busy doing something that he wanted to do. He got momentum. He fell in love with it. He's fallen in love with it. He serves now currently.
Yes, he does currently.
Thank you for allowing your son to serve us, man. Thank you for
couldn't be prouder.
Yeah, bro.
Absolutely.
I thanked you the first time. I didn't thank you at the beginning of this call, but I do want to thank you again, man. Because
I appreciate it, brother.
About what you did. I got some friends too. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I understand. We talked about it.
Yeah, we talked about it. But it's like motion creates emotion.
Yeah.
So if I take care of my body, that's going to increase, as we all know, the dopamine, the serotonin levels. And then that energy is going to come out.
Yeah.
This whole thing is connectivity and energy.
Oh, for sure.
And there's books about it. There's the law of attraction, and people they want to shift their life and they want to take action, but they fail out of fear, essentially. And what I learned about fear is that fear is a false emotion appearing. It's appearing. Real. It seems real. Then ask somebody to describe fear. Like, how do you describe fear?
Yeah.
You really can't.
You can't.
It's mental and physical. Like freeze you, lock you in, freeze you up, all kinds of things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it does. But like, how do you define like what is like? It's nearly impossible. You could describe its attributes or characteristics or what happens when you're in fear, but not attaching to it. So emotion creates emotion. The busier I am, the better I feel. But I got to be busy with the right activities. So what I learned is to take my day and I break it into threes. The first part of my day is for me. The second is for production. The third is for family. And so if there's 7 days in a week, right? Most people are living that way. I've done is I've been able to take it and break it into 3 days in one. So morning, Daytime, nighttime.
Yeah.
Multiply that out over 7 days, I've got 21 days in a week. And it's allowed me to have max efficiency in my time frame. So I'll give you a quick overview of it. I roll out of bed at approximately 4 a.m. most days.
Mhm.
Some days I sleep in, and that would be like 5:30.
I understand.
It's rare, rare. I
Yeah.
don't sleep, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I do take a nap, and I'll explain that. So 4 a.m., roll out of bed, pray, meditate, gratitude list. I get into the word, I put on some worship, I stretch. That's the first thing I do, like clockwork,
Mhm.
because I've been laying down for a little bit, get some mobility, get my body going. Then I get into the gym. I have a gym at the house. I'll get on the treadmill. I'll do a circuit. I'll go straight outside to my sauna. I'll sit in that bad boy for about 20 minutes. And then I get into my cold life cold tub. Shout out Sam. Gotta
Shout
love
out.
Honestly, the best product on the street. Best
Yep.
product. Gary Brecka, Mark Wahlberg, big shout outs. That product and that brand is a game changer. It's the vertical tub, and I love it. I got 2
You're
of
all
them.
the way in it.
I'm in. I'm in. I'm up to my neck, and I'm locked in. But being able to be intentional and have a process to follow, having a standard and a discipline to start my morning, that's me time. That's me leading me so I can feel better, so I can connect to God, and then I can get out and do his work. Now, I wake my wife up, get her going. We pray. We're in the word together. It's the most important thing outside of my sobriety. We've been through so much volatility in our marriage over 18 years we've been together, and we've
Sure.
experienced it all of it. And having God at the center, being focused on that covenant that I took with my wife, not my children, my wife, I took the covenant.
I love that you say that. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
And I constantly also, and I love my wife dearly, I have to remind her as well, hey, the covenant is you and me. It's not with them.
Yep.
It's you and me. So we lock in and we get through that time frame, and then we get the kids going. She makes breakfast, I get dressed, I pray with the kids, I give them a kiss, tell them, hey, give me 3 things that you're focused on today, and I get out the door. And that's the first part of my day, day 1. Day 2 begins the moment I get into that car.
Yep.
Now
Start taking calls. Yeah.
we call that production time.
Nice.
Banging the phones, touch and base with either mentors, mentees, people that I owe a phone call to or a text. I get into the office and we grind. And if it's a friend or a relationship that reaches out to me during the day, I don't respond till 4 o'clock. If it's a family member, emergency, wife, kids, I will respond. I have good friends that really got upset with me because I wasn't texting them back quick enough. And I had to explain to them after 4 p.m.
Look at BJ. Go ahead.
BJ, I have got a good friend of mine, Richard. Love him. We call him Spike. Loves to text. You know, he's like 15 years my senior. He's been sober a long time. He's a soldier. Love him. Saved my life. But at 11 o'clock, when I'm getting a text or a phone call from him, it's a personal call. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve me, and it doesn't serve the situation. That's my work time. That's my time to serve the families of the loved ones being sent to legacy, maybe one of my other companies that I'm involved in and have ownership in, or to serve my business partner and our CEO and our partners. That is time for me to produce. So day 1 begins in the morning. Day 2, it's straight production. I won't do it, and I don't feel bad about it. It's maximized my output and my efficiencies to be a business leader and an owner. Moment I walk out the door in the afternoon, family time. That's soccer practice. That's supporting my wife. That is driving 45 minutes home, taking a quick nap because I lock in, recharge for the 3rd day because it's a long day. And then we get out to practice, and we don't typically get home till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So if I want any personal time during the week with my wife, I got to get it super late, and we get it. And once a week she'll come out, she'll have lunch with me. It's nice. We go for a walk around the lake behind the office, and we'll spend some quality time. But everything that we do is very intentional. And I'll tell you what, man, it sounds to some people maybe a little rigid. It's, oh, you got to be a little free flowing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because you've outlined that time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's intentional time, and I get to lock in, or I get to do things like this with you, and who knows, maybe there's things in here that we're talking about that will get cut up that people can actually hear and relate to,
Yeah.
or they were struggling with time management. They're struggling talking to the 17-year-old daughter, and then they hear you say, "You know what? I'm actually going to go do this now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a business owner who thinks he's got it all figured out. Because I'll tell you what, the only place I hear no is at home.
Yeah. I was going to
Yeah.
say they're ruthless
Yeah.
sometimes, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? So
Especially with what we do, because we're typically in a place of authority. So to hear that at home. Two things. Again, I appreciate your time. I don't
we're
want to
good, brother. We're
drag
good.
it out. One, I got to point something out. I find it funny. We all have this is the way BJ and I have one. And yeah, hey,
Yeah, all right.
BJ, we can't see yours.
We get real close.
I have to just ask one question because I am interested. We talked a little bit before. What, because you have soccer, and I don't want to speak too much for your foundation, but what was it about that soccer, the sport, or the culture that spoke to you enough that you're like, this is what I'm going to do, to the point that actually your sons do it? Of all the things that you've been through, you kind of honed in on this. What was it about? Maybe that's too much. I don't know.
No. It's great. No, it's great. I love talking about it. When I came home one day and my kids were sitting on the steps inside the house, going, the steps that lead upstairs, and they're both holding a soccer ball, and they say, "Dad, we don't want to play any other sport but soccer." My initial response, BJ, no problem. You guys can just be two sport athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to think too.
Yeah.
They were like, no, just soccer. I said, yeah, you could play soccer and then you could like run track. Two sport athlete.
Yeah.
I'm like, Max, you can do gymnastics, so it will make you more flexible. It's great.
Yeah.
Most athletes do. And then I'm like, let's talk about some of the pros. They're like, no, just soccer. So what ended up happening is our home became a soccer. And so it's because of the kids. Because of Maven and Max. They are the ones who have led this charge. Now, God had a different plan, though. He's like, hey, I'm going to bless you with two boys, and you're going to take care of his children. I'm going to watch over them. They're only mine for a short period of time. They're his.
Yeah. You're speaking to me directly, but I'm loving it. Yes.
So anything that they want to do, I'm going to support them. It may not be in that moment.
Yeah.
It may not be in that moment. And isn't that, I want to correlate that to grown men and how we look at our relationship with our Heavenly Father. Because Maven and Max will ask me for something. Hey, Dad, can I get this new soccer ball? Yeah. Do you have money for it? No. Okay. Well, then you can earn it. Sometimes it's, hey, Dad, can I get these sports cards? Absolutely. Just not right now. What do you mean? We're here at the store. Next trip. Sometimes it's an immediate yes.
Yeah.
But my kids unapologetically ask me for everything.
Yep.
Okay. Not knowing what the answer is going to be or when they're going to get it. As grown men, why don't we have that same relationship with our Heavenly Father? Why don't we ask our Heavenly Father for anything and everything that's on our heart? He already knows what's there. Plus, He's our Father. No different than we are to our kids. Why wouldn't He want to give us
all the things? Yeah.
What it is? Yeah, all the things of what we're asking for. There's something really special there, guys, that I personally have uncovered through prayer that allows me to go to Him on and be just raw and honest. And maybe it's kind of, I don't really ask for anything crazy. I just ask for a hedge of protection and a bunch of other stuff, right? But
which is a lot. That's enough. Yeah.
Which
good.
Yeah,
especially nowadays. Yeah.
I'm not really asking for stuff. I'm just asking for, hey,
help me.
Protect me from the enemy. There's a lot of people So here's how the soccer thing got started, man. Like, it was through the boys, and a good friend of mine, Luis Robles, he played for the New York Red Bulls. He's one of the most winningest goalkeepers, most clean sheets in MLS history. Stud, super dude, loves the Lord. He was coaching one of my kids, his son and Maven played on the same team. And he said, hey, let's go to an Inter Miami game. And we went. He retired from there. A hand injury, a wrist injury, I think it was. And we go and we have this experience, and we go and we get a suite and we pay for the suite, and we've got these kids, and I'm like, wow, this is a vibe. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Messi wasn't there yet. And It was a great, it was great experience. I was like, man, my family's a soccer family. I think I'm going to look at these suites. This is
Yeah.
an internal conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah.
And we wind up, my wife and I decide, you know what, we'll get a suite for a season. And we go, and I start talking to different players outside of the club at different
Mhm.
Yeah.
places. I got some friends that played at a high level, and one conversation leads to another, leads to a referral, leads to an introduction, leads to an owner of this team, an owner of that team. And before I know it, we're over in England, and there's watching Man City with the kids, and there's relationships being built, and I can't explain it, guys. I don't understand at that time why God is putting me in proximity of other men in this sport. And what I uncovered was there's a massive gap that a lot of clubs or parents at home are not providing these players, both young and old. It could be planning,
Mhm.
it could be mental work, it could be life after the sport, it could be
Mhm.
spiritual work, it could be a number of things.
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as making sure that, name will remain nameless, but it was a relatively young player, not down here in South Florida. And he was here visiting training, and we were talking. He just got a big contract. I said, "Hey, man, when you get home, make sure your financial advisor does A, B, and C for you."
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "When you
Oh,
get
buddy.
home,
Yeah.
call me
Mhm.
with him on the phone." And I didn't charge him for that. I didn't
Yeah.
want anything for that. He's a married guy with 2 young kids, and he was flying with no life insurance. He had no life insurance. Something
Okay.
so simple. So what ended up happening was I prayed on it, and, one friendship led to another, that led to more introductions, and I developed a coaching program.
Mhm.
And I turned that into a workbook, and that's turned into, 32 professional athletes currently on the roster that we talk on a regular basis, and, it's taken a life of its own. And when I have the opportunity to be able to have impact in these guys' lives, and, some are clients, some are friends,
Mhm.
and be able to, like, help them. I had a call yesterday with a player, who is nearing the end of his career. He's got a couple more years left on his contract. He went back, got his MBA, smart kid,
Yeah.
and, married with a few children, and he was like, "Hey, Mark, this is where I'm at. This is what we're gonna do. How do I go about this?" And we started talking about foundation,
Yeah.
for him, and you had brought that up. Last year, my wife and I were talking, and I said, "Listen, we're so involved in this sport. We've had this suite now for 4 years. Messi's here. We got a new stadium being built. This is they're so good to us, down here in this sport." I was like, I think I got to give back somehow to the youth soccer
Mhm.
community. She's like,
Yeah.
"Where?" I'm like, "Everywhere." She's like, "How are you going to do that?" I said, "I have no idea." Like, "What's the foundation going to do?" I said, "I don't know.
Don't know.
Something.
I don't know. God does." So I'm
Yeah.
going to start. So I started the Marc Effron Foundation. My wife and I self-funded the foundation with our own finances. We didn't raise any money. It doesn't make money. It's a nonprofit. And what we've been able to do in a short period of time is provide training this past year to over private training in soccer camps to over 1,000 youth soccer players. Uh, we've done some educational scholarships
Mhm.
to help
Mhm.
kids get through school. And we've also supported some youth players that are, it's from an anonymous donation standpoint, where
Yeah.
families are maybe just underserved. And my whole thing was like, soccer is an incredible sport. It's the life of our home. I mean, I literally, if you came to the house, I got soccer balls in every corner, and I kind of got over it because I'm like OCD a little bit. And so, like, when the kids are kicking soccer balls, not only were they, like, just outside in the rain and their
Yeah.
footprints were all over the
Oh.
wooden floors,
Uh-huh.
but
Uh-huh.
I got a soccer ball hitting a chandelier or a lamp, and I'm so cool with it now. I'm just like, "All right, well, listen, if you
This is what
guys,"
it is.
man, they're, like, in the bathroom kicking the ball, like, they're walking, dribbling the ball to dinner. Like, how am I
Yeah.
gonna get upset with it?
Yeah.
It's taken a life of its own, and I'm very honored to be able to serve this community because the men that play this sport, I have so much admiration and respect for on every level, from MLS to overseas.
Yeah.
Youth academy players, local club, and then kids that play rec.
Mhm.
Luis Robles has taken over the MLS next. He's a big part of that program in youth soccer on all levels. And I think we were talking about it earlier, BJ. I think like where America is today, United States is at with this sport, where it was 50
Yeah.
years ago. You know what I'm saying? And the evolution of it and where it's going to be in the next 5 years. If we talk about vision, right? Where the commissioner will be, who will be in that spot, what the USL and all the women's league will look like. So I love being a part of it. I love giving
Mhm.
back. And I get the opportunity to be able to do for families where it's a very expensive sport.
Yeah.
It's
People
very,
don't think that, but it is. My
yeah,
daughter's played since fourth grade, so I definitely understand.
Yeah.
very expensive. I mean, it's expensive for me, and it's bonkers, man. So anytime you get to bring a family or friends to put them in a better position, whether they have the resources or not. It's about creating community. It's about creating impact. It's about creating legacy. It's about being able to put young men and women in position of confidence, conviction, and passion of what they love.
Yeah.
And if I get to play a small part of that through the Marc
Mhm.
Effron Foundation, I feel honored, man.
My kids would call that you went full dad mode. You were like, all right, now I'm in. We're doing it, and we're not
Yeah.
just going to do a little bit. We're going all in.
All
and
the
I
way.
love it.
All
the way.
in. I did.
All the
Yeah,
way.
no, I did hats. Nicole,
Yeah.
let me see that black hat, Nicole. The black one. A little bit faster, please.
All good. I love the hats. BJ's also, he's a sneakerhead and a hat.
Oh, are you a sneakerhead?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we did this for like the Inter Miami.
Oh, okay. I like
Let's
it.
go. Yeah. Tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Clean.
we got this one, and then this one is probably my favorite right now.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I like
Ooh, I like
yeah,
that.
whatever you call that lettering. I like
The
that.
raised.
Yeah, the raised
yeah.
lettering. So
That's good.
super excited about this. I can put a little care package together, but when you're watching pro players
Yeah.
rep that brand, and it's a foundation, when I'm watching young kids or I'm getting DMs from a 14-year-old player saying, hey, can I have one of your hats, and when's your next camp? And again, it's just playing a small.
That's huge, though.
It is, and it's got the likes of, we did a nice combo camp with Iman SV2, who's a big YouTube sensation over in England, and he's become a very dear friend, and we've been on his channel. Billy Wingrove, who's also a footballer, he's a big YouTube guy. So we've tapped into different markets and relationships outside of the pro level or the academy level. We brought it to the novice, and that's the whole thing. Anytime people can see that there's an awareness on a sport, it's the fastest growing sport in America. Just in Florida alone, there's 105,000 registered youth academy players down here.
I did not know that. That's
a lot
that's
of players.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mark, I appreciate it. I love your story. I love
Yeah.
the fact that you have this heart, this passion. You didn't have to do any of this stuff. Anyone on the outside would say, dude, you're focusing on your family, your business, and that's a success in and of itself. But you go above and beyond, not just with the foundation. I'll do a little intro before I release it, just kind of talking through what you did. But you also have the production side, which again, I will put all these links in. But you're giving back, and you're telling a story in a very vulnerable, humble way that I feel has been lacking. There's just honesty in it, but that you actually give a shit, and you want to see actual help and growth in individuals either struggling from addiction or, just to your point, giving a young kid maybe who's lacking some resource, the confidence and that boost, even if they don't go pro, but that sticks with you for your whole life. So, brother, I appreciate you. I thank you. I don't want to dominate. BJ, any last words? And then,
Yeah, no. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And it's this has been a great conversation for me. Just kind of some of the strings of thought I've had over the past couple of days. Is kind of like I said, sometimes you just being in proximity and kind of the Lord kind of leads you where you need to be. And so this was very beneficial just for me on a personal level. And also, I just appreciate you taking the time out for us.
100%. If you can give me just 60 seconds.
Your time.
Because I just want to summarize this part. Because I think when we didn't spend a lot of time into the addiction because it was really dark. But when I tell you in 2006 to 2008, I struggled. and I tried to get sober on my own, and I couldn't. I needed to
Mhm.
be vulnerable and ask for help. God intervened. It was definitely divinely inspired. But this big boy job and all that money that I had made, I lost it all. I ended up homeless on the street. I lost my house, my cars. I owed the IRS a lot of money. So when I finally got sober, April 3rd, 2008, I got sober and my scorecard read 0. So to go from that to where God has positioned me today is nothing short of a miracle. That is a miracle. That's a lot of
Mhm.
hard work. That's faith without works is dead. So it's like I had a little bit of mustard seed or hope, but I had to get around the right people to
Yeah.
bring it out. What ended up happening was momentum and the right people telling me, hey man, we don't look at that. We don't go here. We don't say that. We don't
Mhm.
treat people like that. We give of ourselves, and being around that created all this momentum, and it's put me in a position after I was sober a bunch of years. I, with a partner, opened up a behavioral health company, Legacy Healing Center, and
Yeah.
we've been able to serve tens of thousands of families and loved ones throughout the country, spanning from Los Angeles, California to New England, straight down here to Florida. We got locations throughout the country. We employ over 650 team members nationwide. And it's amazing and it's in a passion. But what's evolved of that, and you mentioned the production, is that one of my dear friends and partners in my production company is Jim Wahlberg, and the Wahlberg family, and those guys are just phenomenal. And Jimmy has put me in a position to participate in great documentaries and production of different films that have been shown, in conjunction even with the FBI through one of their programs and their platforms throughout the country to bring awareness. It's evolved into M3 Capital, which allows me to invest in different brands and businesses, whether it's sports related, real estate, what have you. The foundation. And then, like, what's really silly is that I had a thought about, man, I'm always so uncomfortable in a suit. I'm never going to wear a suit again. I need to wear golf clothes. So I started wearing golf pants. And then next thing you know, I started designing clothes, and it's now passion
Oh,
evolved into a
Mm.
clothing line.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's underneath, Albert Couture's brand, but it's called the ME collection. I'm actually wearing one of the bomber jackets right
Let's say I
now.
see the jacket. Yeah.
In the pants, yeah, it's a
the
double zipper,
baller.
it's great. It's double zipper.
Yeah. It's got a little stretch to it.
It's got stretch to it.
Yeah.
Oh, alright. Why not?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. God has put me in a position where my mind and that altitude that I was talking to you guys
Mhm.
about,
Mhm.
I feel that if I can think it and speak it, I can create it.
Mhm.
No better, no worse than any human being. If it's on my heart, it's there for a reason,
Yep.
BJ. It's there to
Yep.
pass, and God wants it to evolve. So, like, if I think it and speak it, so if I'm thinking it and I'm spirit led that morning because I was in the Word and I took care of myself and I led me first before I could lead anybody else,
Mhm.
I know that what I'm putting into action is actually going to happen. And
Yeah.
so I look at the platform that God has blessed me through, to have all these different companies and involvements and people. And I'm just like, I'm humbled by it. There's no other way to position my thought process. It's like, man, I went from homeless to here, no
Yeah.
Mhm.
better, no worse. And at the end of the day, I'm a child of God, Maciel's husband, Maven and Max's dad, and I'm a friend to my boys. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so I'm super honored and grateful that you guys took the time, or you thought that I'd be interesting enough. I'd rather be interested than interesting. I'd
Yeah.
rather be
Okay.
interested in you guys, but the
Yeah.
role was reversed today, so I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you so
brother,
much.
I could talk to you for hours, but I don't want
Yeah.
Nicole to yell at me. So I really appreciate it, brother.
Nicole
Thank you.
definitely will yell at you.
She definitely
It'll
will.
sound like this: "He has to go. His schedule
She
and
can
the
tell you that.
time." Not bad. She came back, not bad. Yeah.
Awesome. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.